Hello, this is Gradye Parsons, and this is our continuing series on the Book of Order, the Presbyterian Church, looking at the front section, which are called the foundations of polity, which are sort of the bedrock understandings of how we understand our polity as Reformed and Presbyterian folk. Today we're still working in the section, Principles of Presbyterian Government. We're going to look at two sections, F30202, which is governed by presbyters, and F30203, gathered in councils. And I'm going to read parts of them, not the whole thing. This church shall be governed by presbyters, that is, ruling elders and teaching elders. These presbyters shall come together in councils in regular gradation. These councils are sessions, presbyteries, synods, and the General Assembly. All councils of the church are united by nature of the church and share with one another responsibilities, rights, and powers as provided in this Constitution. And we see a fuller description of this in the Second Helvetic Confession, sections 5160 and 5161. And again, I'll read in part. Let the leader among you become as one who serves. They kept themselves in humility and by mutual service to help one another in the governing and preserving of the church. Nevertheless, for the sake of preserving order, some one of the ministers called the assembly together, proposed matters to be laid before it, gather the opinions of others, and short to the best of man's ability, to precaution lest any confusion should arise. Now, this is part of what it, basically one of the main parts of what it means to be in our church, is to be governed by elders, ruling elders and teaching elders, and to come together to discuss, to come together to do exactly what it says here in the Second Helvetic, to have matters laid before us, to gather the opinions of others, and short, do the best that we can to try to discern what is the decision of the day. This is part and parcel of what it means for us to be together. And it's not a very efficient way. It'd be much more efficient to have one person making all the decisions, but that's not how we are wired as Presbyterians. We're wired to come together. It's again part of this great bargain, this great covenant that we have made together, that we covenant that we're not going to make decisions without each other present in the room, without hearing the thoughts of other people, without really discerning together what God is calling us to do, with looking at the Word of God, looking at our theology, looking at our book of confessions and our book of order, using the best sense that we have and the best information we have in that day in making decisions. And yes, we say that councils may err, because councils may err, but still, this is a value that we hold as a very precious value, that when our sessions come together, or our presbyteries come together, or our synods come together, or the General Assembly comes together, it's an expression of what we hold to be the best way to make decisions in the church. That is, people coming together equally, equal people, ministers and elders coming together on the same level to try to figure out what it is we need to do. Now, this all takes work. It all has different shapes. Different decisions create different kinds of conversations. Some decisions you can think about and come to look over and over again before you finally make a decision. Some decisions you have to make right away, that day. At our house, when we were raising our children when they were small, we had sort of a saying that if as long as a flood or blood or those things weren't involved, that we had time to think, and we could slow down and try to figure out how to get to the next step and what the next step would be. And part of the whole reason that we're having this conversation about our polity is the fact that you are on a session, that you are part of the session of your church, and you come together to make decisions. Now, that's only one part of what it means to be a ruling elder, but it is part of it, is people coming together. Your sisters and brothers in that church have empowered you to come together and to seek together to mind the Christ, to make decisions. And this is, again, at the very heart of what it means for us to be Presbyterians, these presbyters coming together. Now, sometimes the decisions can be controversial, sometimes the decisions can be benign, sometimes the decisions can seem hard to imagine from the outside, but still it's this particular way of deciding that we have decided is the best way for us to go forward. And it may take us longer to get from A to Z, but still it's the way we think, because it brings the most people into the room to try to make that decision, and it lets God speak through other folks. So what I want to really challenge you to think about with your session is to think about how you make decisions. Do you really listen to each other? Is it really well thought out, what's being presented to you? Do you really explore all your options? Do you really spend time in prayer and Bible study about what the decision could be? Do you spend time with each other, learning to trust each other and learning to know how each other thinks and what each other cares about when you make decisions? What are all those factors that play into your making decision? And look at those, because those factors need to be quality factors and need to be part of how you mark your making decisions, so that the congregation that's entrusted you with this can really see that you've worked hard at coming to a decision about a particular matter. So challenge yourself to think about how you decide. Challenge yourself to think about what it is you want to show when you decide something. Challenge yourself to see, how do we discern the mind of Christ? And we'll talk again soon. Thanks.